Caitlin here. Hello, hello, hello. So I'm going to be talking about 10 things that went wrong or were kind of a fail with my Berserk Griffith eclipse. So first thing, that happened, I don't know if it's retrograde or like that's what caused all these things because Mercury was in retrograde, but first thing that happened was that my cat got sick. It happened prior to the actual eclipse and my mind was everywhere. My cat's okay, I promise, but it was a very expensive trip and she was actually enjoying it, which was kind of a little frustrating because it looked like I didn't have a sick cat. I'll show you the clip real quick.
You're purring? But you're at the vet's. You have a bladder infection. This is a very expensive visit. You getting the most out of it? Yeah.
So as you can see, my cat, seemed pretty fine. It turns out that like she has separation anxiety and that's what causes the lining of her bladder to get inflamed and she has trouble using the litter box. So as much as I like scooped it and I was like, oh my gosh, she has a UTI, it wasn't that. So she wasn't like in a danger zone. It's a little psychological thing. So I felt horrible, but I was doing all sorts of stuff like spraying this to try to make her happier and stuff. But I definitely was giving her a lot more attention, but then I wasn't able to like switch my brain from, hey, I have other things to pay attention to, which is cosplaying. So it's definitely a learning curve as a cosplayer that you need to understand what's important. And when you already take care of it and you're already doing everything you're supposed to take care of it, you're done. Mentally, you're done. You can move on to things that are actually fun. It's a little hard to do that. So the other thing, I have stupid notes over here. Oh no, it fell. But the other thing was that I showed a little clip because I thought it was humorous, is that with this, it only has a dial that goes from like 1 to 10. So I kept turning it up and like an idiot, I set off my fire alarm. Mind you, I have a neighbor below me that loves complaining about things. So setting off a fire alarm 11 at night, first off, didn't make me feel well because of my neighbor, but second, made me stressed out because of my cat. I'm like, great, I'm giving her more stress. But I mean, I guess it's like a thing that like, oh, cat hair. I guess it's a thing that, as a cosplayer, you should set the fire alarm once in a while. So that was really fun. Third thing was the amount of time, because I delayed things so much, I didn't realize how long it took to do something like this, even though I did a basic shape and you could definitely see I did mold it around a basketball. I didn't have enough time to finish the collar because there is a collar and I should have added more doodads and stuff. And I literally used duct tape to make it close. So I definitely ran out of time. I definitely am proud of myself for like the shaping of this. And I definitely realized, I'll show you some photos. I definitely realized that like in anime, they show you a shape in one direction, but in another direction, or if the camera angle's down here, it doesn't work the same. They actually draw a dungeon helmet that is completely different from a different angle. So it's like they always show perfectly that the eyes come through here, but if you're looking down at a camera, it doesn't look that way. But then the footage that I tried replicating, I froze a screenshot of it, it doesn't look like that, which means that it's actually shaped different than this. There are multiple different shapes and it's between the anime and the manga. Which one's correct? I don't know. I stuck with something simple, but I still ran out of time a little bit. I didn't finish it, so I consider that a little bit of a fail, or where I went wrong a little bit. Then another one is the paint color. So the paint alone has two stories. First off, I just went with what I got. I was like, well, it's a dungeon helmet. And then I realized, I'm like, no, it should have been shiny and maybe I should have like added stuff to make it look aged. This is a really cool paint from Rust-Oleum. I'm not knocking that company. They have cool paint. But definitely, it was not my favorite. And then because I was so tired late at night, I legit didn't wear gloves, so that I had to use universal solvent that I have. I have lots of different solvents. As a cosplayer, always have solvents. I luckily have mineral spirits and got it off my hands. But like, yeah, I definitely was not thinking clear about the paint at all. Another one is that Google Earth showed me that it was no snow. Like I thought like, okay, it snowed and it melted just like here in Massachusetts. Oh, no. There was definitely snow and I thought I was going to be in water. So I had like a towel and a bathrobe for me to like, dry myself off and stuff. No, I ended up wearing the bathrobe as like a coat because I was so cold. So yeah, I really wish there was like a, it's actually updated version of like you know, Earth images, but I just guess that doesn't happen, or I should have done more research. Again, not thinking clear because of my cat. Another one is I had no mirror. I'm so used to having a mirror, and because I didn't have one, I ended up doing a lot of test shoots in my robe, which looked terrible. Insert picture. But yeah, those were very comical, and when you look at them, you're like, oh my god, really, girl, you didn't do that in front of a bunch of people. Yes, I did. I did that in front of a bunch of people, which I will tell stories at the end of what people said to me. Another one is that there was a lot of wind, so sometimes I'd set up my camera perfectly, and then the wind would knock it over, and I had to reset up the whole entire thing. And when I try to look it up, it's not really easy to find a tripod that technically is wind resistant or knockover resistant. I think you just have to jerry rig your own like attachments to the bottom of a tripod. But yeah, like even the time lapse I had, you could see it looks like the light is flickering. That's actually the wind hitting my camera. So that was another thing that went wrong or fail. So another one was my Eclipse knowledge. My Eclipse knowledge was very lacking. And what it is that in Berserk, there's like a huge eclipse in the background. So technically when an eclipse happens that much on the horizon, so when the sun's high, it's small. When it gets down to the horizon, it's a lot bigger, right? So when an eclipse happens in that area, it's called Earth's leg, like as in, you know, leg. So that's called Earth's leg eclipse area. But then the fact that it was a fire ring, that's not a totality. So an annular eclipse, it's, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, it's ever so slightly smaller, the shadow, so it creates that fire ring. So technically, in Berserk, that was a annular eclipse that happened on the Earth's leg, meaning just before sunset or sunrise. So that was the very particular eclipse that happened. There are more that happen around the world than you think. It's just you'd have to travel. It's going to take a while for another one to happen in the US. I think the next one's like in Alaska. The one after that is like all the way in like Montana and North Dakota. So yeah, it takes a while for them to happen in your area. That's why I like scrambled last minute to do this, and I didn't have enough knowledge, but I still wanted to do it during the eclipse, and it was meaningful to me. And I will mention that at the end. The drive back was 9 hours. I really wish I had an audiobook or something with me. I was angry pretty much the whole time, yelling at people and getting angry. And New Hampshire does this thing. I'm sorry, New Hampshire, I'm gonna call you out on this, where you prevent people from using other roads. You literally guide them all down a very particular road, which causes more traffic. I don't know why New Hampshire does that, but it's something New Hampshire does. They'll literally close other roads so that you have to use very particular ones instead of letting ways split you all up so that you could be a little separate and everybody gets home faster. Yay, New Hampshire. So that was not fun. But in general, it's also because they don't have that many roads like a city that way up north in New Hampshire. So it takes a while for you to get to a major road. And there's like a lot of, you know, woods and parks. So there are going to be less roads. So it's those two things combined. So the 10th thing, which is why it took me so long to post this, is I got a terrible sunburn. A lot of people were like, oh, wear the glasses, wear the glasses, wear the glasses. It wasn't, you know, my ADD brain doesn't really register other things like, oh, wear the sunglasses and sunblock, sunglasses and sunblock. Like, and people were like, oh, but don't you usually wear, are you snoring? But people would say like, oh, don't you usually wear sunblock? Yeah, I do, but I had to leave at 5 a.m. in the morning to get there at a decent time. So yeah, I forgot my skincare routine. Whoopsie daisy, but none of you told me sunglasses, sunblock. So if you see an eclipse, sunglasses and sunblock, okay? So story time. When I was wearing this, which I'll put it on, it's like horrible. I have to like undo the tape to get my head in here. But when I was wearing this, I had some people approach me. Some people would say things like, oh my gosh, like the jokes about there being aliens, you're the alien. And I'm like, no. And I explained what it was. I don't like talking with this on. It actually echoes in there with my ears. I really don't like that. But people were saying like, oh, you're like an alien, this and that. And I'm like, no. And I explained what it was, and I warned people. I was like, it is a very dark anime. I was like, it has every trigger possible. I warned you, every trigger's in there, okay? It's a dark anime. But the other thing is that I like the bad guys in movies sometimes because I am someone that tends to be a people pleaser. So there's people like me who tend to consider other people too much. And then it screws ourselves over. So when we see a villain, it's like, no, I'm going to get what I want. No, like, even, the extent that Griffith goes to is like, you did what? And the more ironic thing is that, semi-spoilers, is that Guts constantly, Casket tells him, you don't care, you don't consider anybody else. And I understand you get results, but like, you're stupid, you need to stop doing that. And you view him as kind of like the bad boy. And then Griffith is like, royalty, he's just so majestic. So majestic, so honorable of a character, or at least he's perceived that way. He has a dream, and he gets results. But then you find out this eclipse scene, this is what I explained to a few people, it is the hugest flip you ever see, because then you realize that Griffith is not so honorable on the inside. We've met people like this in our real life, right? That they're not honorable people, and you realize like, wow, they really actually are a person that they'll do whatever they can to get their results, and they don't care if it sacrifices others. And then you start realizing that Guts is upset and starts realizing he has to consider others, and he chooses to be a little bit of a loner. And the necklace, because I had the necklace and I showed it to people and I let them touch it and check it out, is I told them, I was like, so what it is this character, right before an eclipse happens, he's losing all hope. And he lost his necklace. I call it a necklace and not a Balix. It's just too much to explain to people. But he loses the necklace, right? And it was meaningful to him. And all of a sudden, he finds his necklace and it comes back to him. And then I tell the person, then everything changes. It's kind of for the worse, but it's just a huge turning point, and it means so much to this character. And then this really cute Iranian girl goes, I hope you find your necklace in life. It was just hilarious. I'm sorry. And then the other person, like I just explained to him, I just really value villains because they kind of just go out there and get what they want. Not for good reasons, and they do hurt other people. I get that. That's wrong. I'm just saying that mentality of like, I'm going to get what I want, that is just so admirable. It's like, you lose that when you consider other people too much. So like, it's like they're the opposite of the balance of like, you don't get what you want because you consider others too much. It's like they're the opposite, and just their mentality, you wish you could find that middle ground. It's so beautiful. But I don't know what I'm gonna do with this helmet. It is interesting. I mean, there's some areas where I did smooth it. I probably should have done a better job. I don't know if I'm just going to add more on top of this because I want to make the holes here smaller. And I want to make it more accurate. Like I might do magnets. Like, so instead of the bolts, it would be magnets. So it just magnetize, and then I would have the actual lock thing. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I have other projects. May 4th is coming up, and apparently I had to explain it to somebody. May the 4th be with you. May the Force be with you. So it's like become a Star Wars thing. I might just wear something cute and simple, which I now have to purchase because, again, I get very distracted. And then I am also going to where the inspiration is for Silent Hill Centralia. I hope the church is still there. They knocked over a lot of buildings because it's dangerous. Supposedly there's 5 people still living there. And yes, Graffiti Highway is covered. I'm going to check out the South Lot and just look at it. And I told all my friends, for the love of God, do not have spray paint on you. Be respectful. And yeah, we're going to check it out. We're going to check out those hot vents. There's actually a geyser, which is pretty cool. It's kind of sad, but they said that it might take a few more decades for it to stop smoldering. That's probably why there's 5 people still there. I don't know if they actually left, just I saw something that said that there might be 5 people that still live there. So it'd be interesting if we do see them, but, or maybe they just own the property. They just visit it once in a while. I don't know what their deal is. But yeah, so I have other things planned. So it's one of those many things where I'm going to put this aside. It was a learning experience, but definitely with all these things, like my cat distracting me, the fire alarm going off, the amount of time I had to experiment was very short, so I didn't get to do as well. The paint is not what I wanted. I got it on my hands like an idiot. Google Earth made me think that it was warmer there and I was wearing a stupid bathrobe to stay warm. There was no mirrors, so I took a lot of stupid test photos. The wind kept knocking over my camera. I didn't have enough eclipse knowledge. There was a 9-hour drive home that I didn't prepare for. I should have had something lined up to listen to. And then I did be horribly sunburned that I couldn't film myself. I took photos at a park because I know I could edit out the redness a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely not fun that like you get sunburned really bad. But I hope this is helpful to help people understand that cosplaying, it's not all perfect. It really is not perfect. Stuff happens and things will go wrong. I literally listed 10 things that went wrong during this thing, especially my poor cat. Not this one, the other one, but you know, it's just one of those things. So I hope this helps some of you understand that just because you have a few fails, just keep going, keep doing what you can. You know, just keep going. It's a learning experience. You're going to make mistakes. Mistakes are normal. Or if you, during a retrograde, have a bunch of mistakes all happen because you can't think clear and there's a Mercury retrograde. But yeah, these things happen, and those are the 10 things that went wrong or were fails to me as a cosplayer during my Eclipse photo shoot. But I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for other content. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. It means a lot to me, and I hope you enjoyed. Yay!